Let's talk about paraphrasing. Sometimes, when you are thinking about evidence that you have read from your sources and you want to put it into an essay, sometimes you can use direct evidence or you can paraphrase. Direct evidence is when you take it, copy and paste it from the source and put quotation marks around it, whereas paraphrasing is the rewriting of specific passages from someone else, and it is written in your own words without changing the original meaning. There are 5 steps to paraphrasing. Number 1, read the passage over several times to understand the meaning. Highlight or underline the important points from the passage. These are good reading informational skills that we've talked about over and over and over again. Read the passage multiple times, highlight that evidence. Once you have that soaked into your brain, then as you go to type it out without looking at the original, write down your version of that information. Go back, compare your paraphrased version to the original, and if you notice that the wording is way too similar, you either need to put it in quotation marks and make it a direct quote, or you gotta make some changes. Finally, you have to cite your source. You have to give credit where it is due, because even if you wrote it in your own words, you didn't come up with the idea. So you still have to cite your source after you paraphrase. So some paraphrasing tips for you. Begin your sentence from a different point than the original one. Use some synonyms. Change the structure. Break longer sentences into shorter ones or shorter sentences into longer ones. So say, for example, my topic is, should we get rid of daylight saving times? And I went through and I categorized my evidence into this chart. So here is my yes evidence, my pro evidence, and here is my no evidence, okay? So the direct text said, across the United States, car accidents, workplace injuries, and heart attacks will spike, okay? In order to paraphrase, I might say, there is an increase in work-related accidents, heart attacks, and motor vehicle collisions. So very similar idea, but I changed the wording around. The next one, 70% of Americans say they'd rather not change their clock. So yeah, we should get rid of it. So when I paraphrase, I say more than half of Americans do not want to turn their clocks forward for daylight savings time. Okay, 70% of Americans say they'd rather not change their clocks is the direct evidence. The paraphrased evidence is more than half of Americans do not want to turn their clocks forward for daylight savings time. Next, according to the National Sleep Foundation, only 15% of teens get the recommended 8 out of 10 hours of sleep each night. The beginning of daylight savings times make that sleep deprivation worse. That's the direct quote, piece of evidence. Here's my paraphrasing. The vast majority of teens do not get enough sleep, according to the National Sleep Foundation. You see what I did there? I kind of just reworded the sentence. So instead of starting with, according to the National Sleep Foundation, I said vast majority of teens. Okay, I switched it around. Let's look at the evidence for no. Some studies show that though car accidents spike after daylight savings begin, the number of accidents overall declines. After the initial increase of car crashes, having more hours of sunlight in the evening leads to a reduction. Okay? Just switched up that wording a little bit. And then crime rates plummet too because streets stay lighter later. Daylight saving time leads to fewer crimes being committed since there is more light in the evening. So pretty simple. When you are paraphrasing, all you have to do is kind of look at that evidence, get it soaked into your brain, and then just retell that information, but not word for word. If you're doing word for word, that's direct evidence. If you're just telling someone about it, say you're just talking to me, your teacher, you're using your own words, your own ideas into that piece of evidence, that's paraphrasing for you.